Have you ever dreamed of getting married and being a wife or a husband? If you lived in 1972 and read Judy Brady's I Want a Wife, you might reconsider your options. Brady's satirical essay, published in 1972, was a clever poke at society's, mainly males, beliefs on gender roles at the time. Judy Brady, a feminist and activist, explores the stereotypes and expectations of women in the 1960s and early 70s. The story was published in the first edition of Miss Magazine and was a sarcastic and humorous take on wanting a wife. As a housewife herself, she incorporated her own perspective into the essay to make it relatable and entertaining. Her brilliant use of sarcasm and humor throughout entertained her audience while proving her point. Brady's essay overviews why she would like a wife and defines the role of a wife as their obligation to take care of their home, children, and of course, her husband. The wife must be solely responsible for household duties such as cooking, cleaning, and laundry. She also must raise and nurture the children, ensuring they do not interfere in a negative way that affects their husband. She also must be a great hostess, and importantly, she must take care of all of her husband's needs, support his work, organize his schedule, and fulfill his social and sexual needs. Finally, she must do all of this without a complaint and having no personal needs that will inconvenience her husband. The quote, "I want a wife who will remain sexually faithful to me, ... If by any chance I find a person more suitable as a wife than the wife I already have, I want the liberty to replace my present wife with another one," shows the transactional role a wife has. Brady's essay shines a light on the sexist and demeaning way that women are supposed to act. They are supposed to cook, clean, and take care of the children and husband without any recognition or consideration for their needs. If they have a job, it's just to add income, and it is not to interfere with any of her duties at home. The essay also showcases the lack of responsibility that the husband has at the home and with his children, and importantly, with his wife. "I want a wife who will not bother me with rambling complaints about a wife's duties," sums up the lack of consideration a husband needs to have for his wife. Based on her perspective, she sarcastically closes with, "My God, who wouldn't want a wife?" And I believe the unwritten but implied rest of the quote is, "My God, who would want to be a wife?" I Want a Wife is a satirical essay that pokes fun at society's views of how a wife should act. Brady communicates the facts and her opinion on this in a humorous and sarcastic way, which enables her to engage the reader. By using humor and personal experience, Brady was able to bring in the reader and get them to listen to her. Getting readers to laugh at the absurdity of gender stereotypes was a non-threatening yet effective way to get her point across and possibly change people's minds about what it means to be a wife. The purpose of this story is to persuade the audience into seeing things as she does and to entertain them. She persuades the reader into believing the historical view of what a wife should be is antiquated and outdated by making the story personal and by using sarcasm. The use of sarcasm and humor demonstrates the absurdity of the traditional thinking around gender roles in an entertaining way. Today, the essay is seen as a form of entertainment due to the humor and sarcasm, but back in 1972, it was seen as a groundbreaking way to shine the light on the fact that the expectations of a wife was antiquated and outdated. Brady's bias towards women, their equal rights, and as well as the belief that women can do anything and should be valued. Her bias is most likely due to the fact that she is a woman, and not only that, but she's also a feminist and an activist for women's rights. I feel that Judy Brady's essay was a bold and groundbreaking essay that helped drive the women's rights movement forward at the time. I concluded from the essay that it was a representation of society's views and a mindset about women and their role. If you were a wife, your job was basically to do anything and everything for your husband. This surprised me because if you think about it, women's rights weren't established until the 1920s when they won the right to vote. Yet, still, they were viewed as second-class citizens until the 1960s and 70s. It wasn't until 1971 that women started to fight for equal wages. This means that just 50 years ago, which is less than one lifetime, women's rights in Canada have progressed significantly. For me, living in a time period in a country where women and men are almost treated as equals makes me feel incredibly grateful. I think the fact that Brady was able to write such a moving and persuasive story in a time period where men trumped women is truly inspirational for girls and women everywhere. I grew up in a household where equal rights were considered in a relationship were considered a norm, where being a husband and a wife was about being a team and sharing responsibilities equally, where both people's needs were considered and valued as importantly as the others, where women make valuable contributions in the household and in the workplace similar to men. Both of my parents share responsibilities equally and work together to get everything done. Neither parent has a specific role that they play in the household, such as the person who provides for the family or who takes care of the household. Growing up in a household like this gives me a personal feeling of gratitude for being brought up in a home and in a country where men and women are considered equals, because unfortunately, there are a lot of places around the world where this is not true yet. In conclusion, Judy Brady's satirical essay, I Want a Wife, was an impactful opinion essay in the 1970s that helped to shine a light on the topic of equal roles for men and women. Its clever use of humor and sarcasm pokes fun at society's beliefs on what the role of a wife is. Brady was able to showcase the absurdity of society's beliefs in a funny and non-threatening way. Her opinion is perfectly summed up in her close, which states, "My God, who wouldn't want a wife?" and implies, "My God, who would want to be a wife?"